Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Super Lunch Bros Podcast, episode number 60. I am Brendan.
And I'm Nate.
And we're here live, which is
What?
really cool. Not, well, live right now, live for us, but it's not, I mean, I have to record and then upload it.
I am here in the flesh.
You are live. This is live. We're live now. You're here.
We're making it weird again.
Yeah, I know. That's the point. Anyway, so if you like more of this stuff, please like, subscribe. Let us know what you like about this stuff. If you're interested in UFC, MMA, anything like that, let other people know that we exist. We really appreciate it. Spread the word. Yeah, everything else.
If you like the format of me being here more, call my supervisor and tell them to give me more leave. And,
yeah, that
more
would be
time
good.
off. That'd be awesome. Yeah. Since
So-
I haven't been here in 3 years.
Yeah, it's been over 3 years
Yep.
that I've seen you in person, which is really strange.
Yeah.
All right, so we just had UFC Fight Night, Font versus Garbrandt.
UFC Font Night?
Font Night, yeah. So what was interesting is Garbrandt, who's ranked number 4 before this fight, I believe.
He couldn't have been 4. He had to have been lower than that.
Nah, I think he was 4, dude.
Was he?
That's the problem. Like, that's the problem with the stupid bantamweight division. Told you.
Wow.
Yeah, so Garbrandt was ranked number 4 before this fight. Font was ranked number 3. Garbrandt, I think that's what? He's won 1 out of his last 5.
If you watch that fight, it did not look like a number 3 and a number 4 ranked fight.
Not if you listen just to the announcers. If you
Well,
listen
yeah.
to the announcers, Garbrandt was the only one in the fucking octagon.
If you listen to the radio, you're not quite sure who Garbrandt fought, because I'm pretty sure they only said Font's name 1 time for every, 10 times they said Garbrandt's name.
Yeah, no, even though he's landing a jab,
Oh, yeah.
nonstop.
He would land 5 combinations, and then we'll get into it in the last round. They talked about how good Garbrandt was at getting up. Not the incredible combinations Font was putting together. They'd start to talk about his jab a little bit finally by the end of it, but the majority of the fight was them talking about either how great Cody Garbrandt used to be, or every little thing that he was able to execute.
Yeah,
And
it was
how
really
important
bad.
that was for the very one-sided fight, if you listen to 2 of the judges.
I just wanted to pull up the stats because one of the things that was interesting was the significant strikes.
And it wasn't just like it was 1 round of Font dominating Cody Garbrandt or 2 of it. It was the entirety of the fight. There was some takedowns that Cody was able to execute in the first round and second round that apparently one of the judges was really impressed by. But other than that, Rob Font absolutely owned the stand-up game.
Well, again, not if you look at the judges, because one of the judges gave 2 rounds to Cody Garbrandt. So
And I think it was the first 2 because it was,
nothing happened in this fight that showed me that Cody Garbrandt is an elite fighter. I understand Rob Font's very good. Like, the way he dispatched Marlon Moraes in his recent fight, awesome. The way he looks out there, he's very composed. He's got excellent striking. He's got really good, obviously his jab
Incredible
is on point.
jab.
Yeah, decent power, great cardio for 25 minutes, so we know he can go the distance in a title fight. That being said, Rob Font, he could challenge for a title. That's fine. But here's the thing. This fight wasn't close at all.
No.
So those 2 rounds, so that first round and the second round, if you want to consider them close, maybe. But Cody didn't win them. So
I still firmly back what I said when we watched it. I think that 4th round was a 10-8 round for Rob Font because Cody did almost nothing to him in response. And it wasn't just Rob Font jabbing Cody in the face, which is what you would read it as or understand if you listen to the announcing for the fight. It was solid combinations. He was putting him back against the fence. He was connecting well. Cody wasn't able to do anything in response for most of the fight, but especially in the 4th round. So I could have given him a more dominant performance than I would have given him a 10-8 round for the 4th.
yeah, I mean, even without a 10-8, there's the first round, all Cody did was get takedowns. And the second round, the same thing. So there was no damage done.
No.
Cody landed a couple big shots. They were peppered in through the first, 4 rounds or whatever. He landed a couple shots. And in the 5th round, now let's just talk about it now. So in the 5th round, Cody came out guns blazing, and landed probably 2 out of 12 shots that he threw in this shit combination. And like they're fast punches because Cody throws like Cody's very fast.
Yeah.
But
Well, he's fast on his counter hooks. That was really the only thing he had in his tank that he was able to land with.
Yeah,
counter hooks,
but
which is fine.
Yeah, but if you look at his fight or his fight style and his history, so he is 1-4. So he's won 1 fight out of his last 5. Those losses are to T.J. Dillashaw twice by TKO, getting knocked out by Pedro Munoz. He knocks out Rafael Assunção with the sloppiest big overhand right I've ever seen.
But ends up basically being an ESPN.
Yeah.
It's a highlight reel.
Yeah,
punch.
it was the second round, the last second of the second round, and people are like, oh, that's how he wins fights. Like, that's nobody plans to win a fight with the last 10 seconds. Like, that's not a strategy anybody employs. Like, yes, unloading in the last 10 seconds of a round is a possibility, but like when he caught TJ in that first fight, like the reason why he was able to catch that is because TJ opened up and he wasn't as defensively sound in the end of that first round, and then he gets all cocky and he's like, you're not making it out of this second round. And he's like, no, he's not, because he's going to knock you out. Like, this, it's, from what I've seen, like, he does not have a chin, and now that I see this over 25 minutes with somebody who's, pushing him, he doesn't have cardio either.
I still don't think that he ended up fighting the fight that he planned to fight. I think he underestimated Font going into this fight. And if you watch how he approached the first 2 rounds, once he realized that he couldn't stand with him, that he was just eating a jab and not able to connect, he went to his wrestling, which he saw some success with. But I think that's where his gas tank went. I don't think he did a camp with the mindset, I'm going to take this person down and hold him down on the ground. I don't think that went into his conditioning. So that's part of why I think he ended up gassing out in this fight, if I was going to analyze it to that level.
He's working with Mark Henry now, who is more well-known for his striking, obviously.
But, Cody Garbrandt's style has never been a wrestling-focused style. He has the background and capability, but it's never been.
Team Alpha Male, which is all wrestlers.
But he's been, his style, which you can argue whichever way it ends up going, he's been a scrapper. Either a technical fighter or he just bites down and goes for it.
So, if you look at, when he came into the UFC, he knocks out Marcus Brimage with 10 seconds left in the third round, okay? Then he gets a decision over Henry Briones. He knocks out Augusto Mendez. He knocks out Thomas Almeida. That was the best win early in his career. Then he knocks out Takeo Mizugaki way after Takeo Mizugaki was meaningful. Yeah. Right? And then he fights Dominic Cruz to a decision win, and that was a really good performance where Cruz just was way off his game, and Garbrandt looked really good.
I think people still underestimate the plantar fasciitis aspect of Dominic Cruz at that point in his career.
Yeah, he was
I don't know if you've ever had that, but it's, for a person that relies entirely on being light on their feet, that is brutal to try and train on.
Also, you got to remember, Dominic Cruz shouldn't have been the champ. It was supposed to be TJ.
Yeah.
That should have been TJ Dillashaw's 3rd title defense. 4th? Because he beat Joe Soto for his first title defense because he stepped up on short notice.
Yep.
Then he beat Renan Barão in Chicago. Then
our first MMA fight we saw together. What?
Was that the first one? Yes.
Yep.
Did you go with? We went the second time, right? Or did you not come with me the second time? Holly Holm and.
No, I went the first time.
Holly Holm and Valentina Shevchenko.
Because that was when Felder fought Enzo Barboza the first time.
Yes.
That was that fight.
Yeah. And I was rooting for Edson because I really like him, and people got mad at me.
I didn't.
Yeah. But so that should have been T.J. Dillashaw's 3rd title defense. Mm-hmm. He should have had that against Dominic Cruz, and then he should have been fighting Cody Garbrandt. But here's the thing. Here's why I don't like Cody. It's not that I think he's a bad person. I generally don't like his piss poor attitude anyway. He's a person who talks shit, but he's a big baby. He has very thin skin. He can't take a joke. Takes himself far too seriously, and then goes and talks shit about other people. This is the guy who, when who's the dude that everybody loves now, with the colorful afro, the white dude who gets injured all the time. Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Sean O'Malley. That's
Right.
it. Yep.
So when O'Malley fought Cheeto Vera and injured his leg,
Yep.
Cody puts out a tweet. He's like, "Some people aren't built for war. Built for war." Pause for a second. One, what war were you built for? You're not going to war. Please stop. Second, like, and again, I wouldn't criticize people like this unless they were also like, if they were, not him. If they were less serious about themselves, or they were always talking shit, or had incredibly thick skin. One, you're not going to war. Two, this guy had back surgery because he couldn't walk around anymore. So again, not criticizing his body, but when you're talking shit about other people not being built for war, neither are you. And his chin hasn't held up, I don't know, 3 fights in a row in the UFC.
And I would argue the TJ Dillashaw fights, which you can argue either way about, whether or not TJ Dillashaw was using EPO at that time, because
he wasn't. They tested his blood. They went back and tested samples. He wasn't using it.
Yeah. So arguably not. But at the same time, that was the height of his shit talking, and he was never able to back it up.
No.
He put out as much as he possibly could, especially into that first fight. Tried to make excuses for it. Came back from it, and then still lost in the second fight in fashion that was absolutely, it was one-sided both ways. There was nothing he was able to do to TJ Dillashaw, despite all the shit talking that he wanted to be able to put out there. And then, lost to Pedro Munoz immediately after that.
But remember, he also did it the exact same way, where he gets in these stupid
I don't know whether to blame him or blame the UFC for the hype they is it him buying into the hype that the UFC put into him?
Like Francis Ngannou initially?
Because the UFC put a huge amount of hype into this dude coming up when it arguably, wasn't valid. It wasn't there for him. They just propelled him to this level.
Well, it's not that. So here's the other side of this. It's not that he wasn't good or isn't good. He's very good. It's just the level that he's allowed to skip. And here's the biggest qualm I have with it. Did he win that fight against Dominic Cruz? Absolutely he did. He looked really good in that fight, and Dominic Cruz looked like shit. It's just how it goes, right? So he beat Dominic Cruz. He was the champion. Did he deserve that title shot? Arguably, no. But let's get past that.
I think there are a lot of fighters that could have beat Dominic Cruz on that night in the condition that he was in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and then what's his first title defense? Against TJ Dillashaw. Guess what? Gets knocked out. Then, what's his next fight? Does he have to work his way back up because he, hasn't defended the belt a single time, or maybe he got knocked out relatively early in that fight and didn't show any sort of resolve or ways that he was going to finish the fight. So he had to work his way back, right? No, his next fight is an immediate rematch against TJ Dillashaw. Why? TJ didn't get the rematch against Dominic Cruz, which he should have if you're going to go off that logic. Dominic Cruz and TJ fought to a split decision.
And yes, I have to understand what TJ had done before then.
Beat everybody?
Yeah, he beat Renan Barão's title reign, and what Dillashaw dethroned from Renan Barão is more impressive than Dominic Cruz getting beat by Cody Garbrandt.
So after
if we're talking about what is more Dominic Cruz is one of the greats of that division of all time, but so is Renan Barão, especially for his early career, pre-UFC, and TJ Dillashaw beat him in handle fashion 2 times. Yeah. And had multiple title defenses at that weight class.
Well, look what he had to do.
Yeah.
Look what TJ had to do. After he loses, arguably, I do not think he lost that fight. I've watched it multiple times. I've gone back there.
Split
I
decision.
understand that I am a TJ fan, and it weighs heavily on my decision-making, but I have gone back and watched that fight, and I'm not upset in the fact that I think it's a robbery. It's not. I think TJ won that fight. Therefore, he should never have lost the belt. That being said, who were his next fights? Did he get an immediate title rematch? No. He had to go fight Rafael Assunção, who was a nightmare. And this is Rafael Assunção back in 2016. Not the depleted one that Cody Garbrandt fought in 2020. Yep. Right? We're talking about Rafael Assunção, who is the dark horse, the guy who was supposed to fight Renan Barão for the title, but got injured, so TJ stepped up, and that's when he beat him on that night. And then he fights John Lineker, who's impossible to put away, right? So you have to outwork him, And he stayed with him on the feet a little bit, then went and took him down. Stayed with him on the feet, took him down. He beat John Lineker, who, again, like I said, hands of stone. He has a freaking stone chin. He's impossible to put away, and he knocks people out. John Lineker is an incredibly hard person to fight. He had to fight those two people before he got another title shot. And then he fights Cody Garbrandt. And the reason why he had to wait for that title shot is because Cody had his back problems. So now he gets in there, fights Cody, knocks him out, and then Cody has more back problems. Cody gets and what does Cody get for his next fight?
Immediate rematch.
Oh, another immediate rematch.
Surprise.
Like almost a year later, November to August.
Yeah.
And that was the one, that was the same night that GSP, that was on the GSP Bisping card.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's just...
He has, for some reason, gotten an infinite amount of chances in the UFC that most people don't get based on the career that he's had.
I don't understand what it is. Like, is he good looking or something? Like, it's not like I don't find, like, I can't understand why men are good looking. Like, I understand that there are movie stars that are good looking. For him, he doesn't, to me, appear like he's a good looking guy, right? He doesn't come out
He's
and
not a
sell...
physical freak like Hector Lombard or Yoel Romero.
He's
or
not
something
exactly. He's not a physical specimen. He's not a guy who's bringing in multiple facets of fans, like from different different disciplines or like different interest groups or anything like that. It's only fighters who would know him or fighting fans who would know him, right? You know, he's a religious guy, but not in a way over the top kind of. Not over the top. I think Stephen Thompson is the perfect blend, but.
It wasn't an aspect of his personality which was drawing fans in.
Right. So what is the draw here?
And he also wasn't unique in the fact that he was getting knockouts, because so was a lot of people in that division. It wasn't like he had a unique physical power. He wasn't the Rumble Johnson of that division.
No, he got knocked out 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Like, and were those fights exciting? I'm not going to take that away from him. I think they were. I think the Pedro Munoz one more exciting than the TJ ones, because I think TJ really tuned him up in that second fight and put him away in the first round. I think TJ's just a better fighter. I never want to see them fight again, because I want no bullshit like 1 in 100, 1 in 50 chance that Cody catches him with a shot, and then they can say like, oh well, Cody beat him the last time they fought. I don't want to hear it. TJ's a better fighter. I think TJ, like,
well, Cody hasn't done anything to earn a title shot. So
Cody
hasn't done anything to really earn the placing that he has in that division.
You're gonna tell me that if they could have given him a title shot, they would have? Of course they would have. But because Sterling won it controversially, they couldn't give Cody the shot, because now they have to do Peter Yan again. Like,
and now they have to do Font.
Here's where we should go with this: is let's fucking stop talking about Cody. We're doing exactly what the judges or what the commentators were doing. Rob Font looked fantastic. Like, one, I don't think highly of Cody. We think we've established that. That being said, Font looks so far ahead of him that it clearly puts him in that title contention.
I don't want to put it. All right, so I'm not going to be as hyperbolic as I could be here, but remember the hype that Holloway got on his last fight for the crisp combinations, his boxing skill, like what he was able to put together on the hands. Arguably,
was a little bit better.
And that's why I'm like, I'm not going to the level to where I'm saying it was as good a performance from Rob Font as it was from Holloway in that fight. But in terms of his ability to connect, in terms of his ability to use his jab, the combinations he was putting together, and really his opponent not having an answer for it, like, it was close to that level of being a one-sided fight, to where he put on an absolute performance. The only reason reason it's not being presented that way is because of how the announcing was skewing the perception of the fight.
Yeah, it was bad.
Rob Font absolutely, unequivocally dominated him. Yeah.
No, it was bad.
No question about it.
It was bad.
With incredible display of skill, too.
There was no point in that fight where I felt like Cody was winning.
No.
Not a single moment. Like, even when he was on top in the first and second round, he did less damage than Font did in those rounds, and that's the number one factor. If I land a big shot that puts you on your ass in the first 10 seconds of the fight, and then you hold me down and do no damage, right? Maybe you're doing position change for the next 4 minutes and 50 seconds. based off of the rules or the judging criteria that we have, I win that round. I know it sounds silly because one guy controlled that round. It doesn't matter. Damage is more important. It's what we have established as the most important thing. If you had asked me that 10 years ago, I would probably say the guy who took him down. That used to be judged differently. The criteria were not the same. And it wasn't even that extreme.
Yeah.
Font did more damage. He wasn't held down for 4.5 minutes, right? He would get up and he would land more damage and then go down again. And that was only the first 2 rounds that happened. And
then he started stuffing takedowns, effectively stopped Cody. And I think Cody realized he gassed out too hard, trying to execute wrestling that wasn't actually getting him anywhere.
So let's, real quick here, let's look at the last 4 wins in Font's career.
Whew.
So his first one in the streak, Sergio Pettis,
who is
the champ at Bellator.
Bellator champ.
Ricky Simon, Marlon Moraes, TKO. That was a big win. He broke Moraes pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then now with the decision win over Cody Garbrandt. He should be next up, if I'm not crazy.
You're not crazy.
Oh, no, Corey Sandhagen. So Sandhagen's fighting TJ.
Yep.
And I understand TJ's not in the rankings, but before TJ got banned, TJ was the champ. He was not going to lose the belt at bantamweight.
He had defended the belt.
He lost the fight to Henry Cejudo, but that was at flyweight.
Yep. So he never actually lost the bantamweight belt.
Right. So, technically speaking, he's still the lineal champ at bantamweight. Well, depending on going back as far as I want to. I'm not talking about 20 years ago. TJ Dillashaw is the lineal champ at bantamweight, right? Yep. He has to be, because I think it was Renan Barão, and then So when he comes back, if he does get the win over Corey Sandhagen, that's a big if. We'll talk about that when that comes up. I am a huge TJ fan, but I'm very worried about that fight.
That's probably one of the roughest fights for him.
Well,
coming up.
I'm a huge fan of Corey Sandhagen too. I think he's amazing. So if he does get, I think what they should do is Aljamain Sterling versus Peter Yan, the rematch. I don't understand the bitching from Peter Yan and his team or his fans. I get that you don't like Aljamain Sterling taking the win there. That's fine. I mean, not liking that he won that way is one thing, but then bitching about, he didn't throw an illegal knee. And, you want to say, oh, he was acting more hurt than he was. So what? That's your fault. Yeah. You're the one who committed the foul. All right? Now, it's a little different. That's happened since then, and it sounds like I'm taking the opposite stance here, but I'm not. Aljamain Sterling looked like he was actually hurt, and if he was moderately hurt in a championship fight and there's no reason for him to get up and try and gut it out, why would you?
Yeah.
And also, unless he was sure of the rules, he thinks that the fight's just going to go,
I guarantee you he did not know that it was going to result in him getting the win. I can almost guarantee that.
I think it was the fourth round.
As many people as were surprised by how that ended up going, I feel like he was also just as surprised as how that ended up going.
It's weird because I don't like when people win like that either, because
he didn't seem to like that he won like that.
No, but and then now he he'll make jokes about it, and that's just who he is. Again, there's people out there you didn't win this, and he's joking, or recently, oh man, that hockey player just got kneed in the head.
I watched that happen live. It was the first time I'd watched hockey in years.
Oh, who was that? He has the same name as a UFC fighter. But anyway, he got caught with that knee, and then he mentioned it like these knees hurt, especially the ones where you don't expect it to come.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, I think Peter Yan versus Sterling is probably the next fight that they're gonna do for the belt. Corey Sandhagen, the winner of Corey Sandhagen versus TJ, probably gets the next shot. So Rob Font's kind of the odd man out right now, and that's unfortunate because Rob Font, he deserves a title shot. Do I think he's gonna get that one? Probably not.
That should also go into how stacked this division is. That even already being ranked number 3, after getting a win ranked number 3 within the top 5, he's still probably another fight out from a title shot. Like that says something about the division.
I mean, and then there's Jose Aldo, still ranked number 5 for some reason.
Who? I wouldn't mind seeing Rob Font, Jose Aldo. He's got to fight somebody.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to see Jose Aldo getting more fights. I mean, I think he's fine, but...
Would you rather him fight Frankie Edgar? I'd rather see Jose Aldo fight Frankie Edgar.
I'd rather see Jose Aldo fight Dominic Cruz.
That would be interesting, too. I can't believe he's still in
They
the
were
top 10.
They were supposed to fight a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. But if not Jose Aldo, would you see him fight Marlon Moraes then?
He already... Rob Font beat him, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
no.
He's kind of in a... He's in a rough situation.
I would put him at... What I would do is I would have Sterling versus Jan as soon as possible. TJ versus Sandhagen's already scheduled for July or June.
Maybe Rob Font fights the winner of Sterling versus Jan.
Yeah, because...
Or loser. Yeah. Rob Font fights whoever loses Sterling versus Jan.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then he gets the next shot. Or that winner of that fight gets the next shot. All right. That was the main event. Let's see here. So in the co-main event, we had Yan Xiaonan versus Carla Esparza. So,
who likes wrestling?
I mean, this fight wasn't the most exciting one to watch, but Esparza did finish it early, so it didn't go to decision. She didn't ride her out for 3 straight rounds. She got her in the crucifix and TKO'd her. Esparza is on a 5-fight win streak. She deserves a title shot. It's just what it is. Like, I don't see how...
It was an impressive display of domination by Carla Esparza. Like, I didn't see Jan do anything in that fight whatsoever other than try and keep herself from getting her face beat in while she was on the ground. And, that's pretty much all she could do.
She beat Janda Roba, Alexa Grasso, Michelle Watterson, Marina Rodriguez, split decision. I know people were upset about that because of reasons. And then she beats Yan Xiaonan. So there's no reason not to give her this title shot at strawweight. I think she's worked her way back. I think she's done enough. To earn a title shot here. Joanna has not fought since she fought Wiley. Right?
Yep. So, and Carla just beat Jan, who was ranked number 3.
Yeah, Carla was ranked number 4 before this, so it's not like she wasn't like highly ranked already. Beats the number 3 contender. She's on a 5-fight win streak. You know, maybe put Joanna. You know, here, let's put the hurt. Here's something cool.
Ooh, I know where you're going with this.
What? Oh, Mackenzie Dern?
No, I was gonna say replay
That's
Joanna
the other thing.
Weili.
So there's 2 options here for me. I think there's 2 options you can do for Joanna. Is Wiley will rematch the fight of the year of 2020,
which was also a very, very controversial decision.
I had Joanna win it.
Yeah. A lot.
And I think Zhang is like an excellent fighter, and I don't. There should be no hate towards her as an individual. We were talking before this about how, you know, we went back to the whole like racism thing because I don't think it exists. I think you're always gonna like this whole thing that a crowd of people just collectively decided to be racist is absolutely ridiculous. I
had a theory on this, and I stand by it pretty hard. I think it was purely the communist China flag. Had she walked out there and either not had the Chinese flag, or had she walked out there and
with
if she was Korean, if she was Japanese,
right,
if she was from Singapore,
right,
if she was from almost any other country in Asia, she would have walked out there and not gotten booze and not gotten any hate whatsoever. But there has been a significant amount of controversy back and forth between the Chinese government and the United States. And there's a
what are you talking about? No, there hasn't.
And
we're like best friends.
Yeah, and there's a point of, you know, nationalistic pride, and especially it being an event outside Las Vegas where you're actually getting hometown crowds.
Like people who actually live in Florida.
Yeah, you're getting regular people who actually care about that. Yeah,
and we were saying before. So like if I don't know whoever's listening to this, if you're not from the United States, I don't know how your country is set up, but like we have states here, right? And I know that's a part of the name, but people don't kind of don't. I don't know if they get it. So each state is governed differently, and people like associate with the state that they're from. So if a fighter like I live near Chicago, so I've gone to fights in Chicago. When there is a Chicago fighter or an Illinois fighter or even in Indiana, like Eddie Wineland was on a card. When there is a fighter from Illinois on the card, I don't care who that other person is. They're getting booed.
Like, or even just talk about college football in
well,
this country.
Well, okay, I was specifically talking about fighting because I know that.
But like that's the same kind of mindset that goes into it, especially because of how UFC isn't really tied to anything. Like
we'll boo the people from another state. This has nothing to do with racism. Like you're not racist because you boo someone from Wisconsin.
See what happens when UCLA goes and plays Texas.
That's worse.
They argue. Like, that is that's a stadium of 60,000 people booing.
And they're from the same country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this is like so if you want to talk about like nationalism and then people being brought together under a single flag or whatever because of a collective dislike of another flag, like when you get someone like someplace like that or enough people who believe in that and start booing that, and then she wants to come up with the excuse like, well, the boos threw me off. I don't like that. I don't think it was racism was not a part of it. I think you guys are all being stupid. You're playing into it. You're all like clickbaity bullshit. I can't stand it.
She probably would have had the same problem in Brazil.
It would have been worse in Brazil because they would have been screaming, "You're gonna die!"
Yeah,
dude, they're throwing. When they fought in Mexico City, they threw fucking bottles.
Do you ever seen any of the NFL games that take place in Mexico City?
Not good.
They laser quarterbacks' eyes. They had an issue where they almost had to shut down one of the games because of laser pointers going into quarterback's eye. Like, yeah.
So yeah, booze leads to your problems. Anyway, so Joanna versus Wiley.
Oh yeah.
I'd watch that again. I think that Joanna won that fight the first time. It's a very close split decision. I wouldn't mind seeing it again. Don't think Joanna deserves a title shot necessarily based off of how that went against Nami Yunus, but I wouldn't be mad about that either. My picks for Joanna is fight Zhang or fight Dern.
Yeah,
so Mackenzie Dern she's made a lot of progress. I still think she's a really raw prospect who is going to run into a lot of problems in the top 5 here. That being said, she's in the top 5. No more gimme fights.
Yeah.
I'm done with this. You don't get to fight Nina Nunes coming off of 3 years and a baby. Like, no. That's a good show I'd watch.
3 years and a baby.
3 years and a baby.
Oh.
So, I don't want to see any more give me fights. She doesn't get any of those. Okay, you don't get to be in the top 5 and keep fighting people outside the top 5 just because the UFC thinks you're pretty and you get. People think you're pretty, then the UFC wants to promote you. That's not how this shit works anymore. Please give her a challenge.
UFC also probably thinks you're pretty.
Obviously, and your fake Brazilian accent. So as far as Carla Esparza goes,
I title shot.
So here's the other thing. I don't want to see her fight Joanna right now because she's on a 5-fight win streak, and she just beat the number 3. No, give her a title shot.
I mean, it should be a title shot, but like
that's also a rematch.
Did she fight Zhang?
No, she fought Nami Yunus.
Oh yeah, but I mean
that was the inaugural strawweight belt.
Yeah, but I'm saying if Joanna fought Rose, if Carla got paired up with Zhang in the meantime.
I don't want to see that.
I don't think that is fair to Carla, but
no, I don't think that's fair to either one of them because, Zhang loses another fight.
She's going to take a tumble down the rank.
A tumble down the rankings, but like she should be fighting someone like Mackenzie Dern, like all the way down at rank 5, or Marina Rodriguez, because she's coming off that loss, and she or Joanna. Like Joanna makes sense for Zhang. That makes sense, and put Carla Esparza against Nami Yunus. Yan Xiaonan fight Mackenzie Dern, but I think that fight doesn't go well for Yan.
And for Joanna and Zhang, that's a fight you can headline a fight night with.
Yeah,
everyone wants to see 5 rounds of that. You make that the headline of a fight night, that's a absolutely perfect ESPN Plus, instant classic.
Yeah, and I I don't want more damage. I'm not one of those people, like I've said this before, I'm not one of those people who is glorifying people getting a lot of brain damage.
No.
That being said,
They're
5 rounds of that, it's going to be brutal, and I'm going to love it because
If
it
it
was
goes 5
so
rounds.
good. Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
But it wasn't just mindless brawling either. There was technical striking,
Yes.
and there was back and forth, and it was like watching when people talk about martial arts. And I know it's violent, and you look at Joanna's head afterwards, swelling up like that, and I get all that, but dude, that is art to
Yeah.
me. Like, it's like watching a movie. You know, like, oh, if I know how the movie ends, like, why do I want to watch them? It's because you get to see like the ebb and flow. It's
And you
almost
get-
like listening to music.
And you get to see 2 fighters that truly put it all out there for a 5-round fight.
Yeah,
Like
for
you-
the entire time. That was great.
Absolutely nonstop. Both of their hearts just to the utmost. They both displayed what type of fighter they were in that fight. So getting to see essentially the next 5 rounds of what that fight could look like that would be, yeah. Everyone should want to sign up to see that.
So, again, I go Carla Esparza, give her the title again.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's earned it. I think it's a good story as well, and I think she provides an excellent challenge for Namajunas. And what's cool is because Namajunas lost to Esparza, she can, end that
Yep.
kind of end it right now, or even set up a trilogy fight. Let's say Namajunas wins this fight, and then Carlo works her way back or beats another top contender. Now you can do the trilogy and bookend it. Like, you can be like, that's the end of this.
Yep.
Whoever wins this is the better of us 3. I think it sets it up really well. Or it doesn't have to happen. What if Carla goes up and beats Namajunas and then Namajunas tumbles down the rankings, or vice versa? Carla just, that's the end of it.
I think that is the fight to make.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
All right. Justin Tafa versus Jared Vandera. Just boring heavyweights.
Yep.
Lots of decisions on here. Norma Dumont, boring. Not boring, just lots of decisions. Not much to talk about. Jack Hermanson getting the win over Edmund Shabazian, back on the winning side after his
He won
loss
a
to
what?
Vettori.
But he won another fight after Vettori, didn't he? So I was surprised to see Jack Hermanson this far down on this card, just because of
No, last fight was against.
Oh.
So he's gone 1-1.
okay.
He's 2
I
and 2.
flipped the Kelvin Gastelum and Marvin Vettori fight.
Yeah,
in
so
my head.
he was on that 4-fight win streak, and then he got knocked out by Jared Cannonier.
Mhm.
Beats Kelvin Gastelum, loses to Marvin Vettori, and then,
All right,
kind of
so
dominated Shabazian.
So 50-50. Either way, I was, based on who was on this card, I was just surprised to see Jack Hermanson.
He's ranked number 7. I don't think he fell that far down. And
No. My only feeling on it was I would have expected this
put him-
fight to
yeah,
be
yeah.
under Carlos Esparza.
I probably would have put him at
The co.
the co-main event. Well,
Yeah.
maybe not. Carlos
The-
Esparza being 4-3, that's fine.
There's more repercussions from that fight because Carlo
Yeah, that's true.
might get launched into a title shot from that. But
That's
at least
true.
the third fight on the card, I would have put Jack Hermanson because he's still in play in that division.
Yeah, Jack Hermanson is currently ranked number 7, so after this weekend, I guess he could bounce over Darren Till, who hasn't fought in forever.
So he's still, he's on the edge of being in the top 5 in that division, which is something.
Yeah. And you got Edmund Shabazian. I don't know what to make of him yet. He's still so young in his career, and he was just thrust into the top 10 and, thrust into the top 5.
Yeah.
Because, he just fought Derek Brunson.
And Jack Hermanson just lost to someone who's getting the next title shot.
Yeah.
So, and it just beat Kelvin Gastelum. So that is a pretty high level fighter, even if the ranking doesn't necessarily show it as well.
Yeah. Kelvin, I think, dude, it doesn't matter. This whole division needs to be put on hold until Whitaker gets his goddamn title shot.
Please.
I cannot. I understand that they offered it to him, and that he said no because they are like, hey, you want to fight next month? And he was like, no. I'm like,
What?
no, I don't. He's like, I just fought
That sounds like
5 rounds against Gastelum. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that's like sandbagging him. It's like, oh yeah.
So stupid. So until he gets his title shot, nobody gets another title shot. All right.
Yep.
Other than that, I'd probably
Has Hermanson fought Darren Till? I don't think so.
No.
I wouldn't mind having that fight.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Darren Till hasn't fought forever. Dude, Hermanson's been in the UFC since 2016, quietly putting together a really good record.
That's what I'm talking about. Like that.
That's nuts.
Yeah. This was quite an ask, and that's why I was surprised to see him so far down on the fight night card. But hopefully this helps out his career a little bit.
All right, so we'll go to the prelims real quick.
Ooh, let's talk about
fat.
Let's talk about
fat.
an embarrassing UFC fight.
Fat.
And I'm sorry, Ben Rothwell, because
You're not. I mean,
Yeah.
you're a little chunky. Let's not get it twisted.
you are a legit heavyweight.
But you're 6'4", and 100% corn muscle. So he's from Wisconsin. He trains up. Rothwell MMA is like right down the street. Like we could drive there right now. I think he's in Kenosha.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he's probably there now.
I vaguely remember that.
Oh, maybe not, because he might be in quarantine, because they do the mandatory quarantine, I think. So, I mean, he's had no. It's not that he hasn't had favors. It's just he was up in the top 10, top 7 or whatever, and it's just been, he's lost a lot. He lost to Junior Dos Santos, lost to Blagoy Ivanov, who's a very good fighter, lost to Andrei Arlovsky, beat Steven Struve, beat OSP, who isn't a heavyweight, but whatever, loses to Marcin Tybura, and then beats Chris Barnett. So before we get into the sloppiness of this fight, good job for Ben Rothwell putting it back together. I'm glad he hasn't popped for any drugs recently. That's awesome. I like the way he fights because he's unique. He's very weird. He's a strange person as well, which is always interesting to me. And I think he's a unique challenge at heavyweight for anybody to fight. He has an unbelievable chin. He hits very hard, and he has these, like, this submission called a go-go choke. We were talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
So the knuckles go into your esophagus, and then the other one pull them into it. So it's not like a guillotine where
you're not getting forearm bone. You're not getting
right.
What the pressure is actually going into your windpipe
is going to be the knuckles like this. So he keeps the knuckles right in your chin, right in your esophagus, and pulls them in, and it's incredibly painful. People tap to it so quick. I think he's just an interesting challenge. I don't think he's the best heavyweight in the world, but I wouldn't say that he couldn't beat Ngannou. Let's put it that way.
I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up, just because it's heavyweight, and getting a title shot at some point again.
2 more wins and he could get a title shot. And
you never know.
And here's the thing. I think he matches up well with Ngannou because he's got a crazy chin and he's very awkward and he's decent. He's a very strong individual. I think
he's also going to present something to Ngannou that he probably hasn't really faced
Nobody
in the UFC, which is him having to deal with submission attempts. And even that weird submission attempts.
Yeah.
Like that is an interesting... If he gets up to that level.
We don't have any submission artists in heavyweight anymore, do we? Not in UFC anyway.
Yeah. That's why.
Yeah, Verdum's gone. Who do we have?
Yeah,
Nobody. Nobody.
We got Ben Rothwell.
Nobody does submissions anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this other clown. So, good on him for making it to the UFC. I can tell you right now, if this was any other division, this guy would not be in it. This guy would not make it to the UFC. The guy is 21-7.
Granted, I did look up his previous record, which was a mix of MMA and kickboxing fights, and he's 4 of his last 6, which was surprising for him. And he lost one of his last 2 fights before he got to the UFC.
I hate. This is the worst. This is the worst of heavyweight. This is one of the things I despise the most. It's one of the. This kind of stuff makes me embarrassed. So, like, if I was going to introduce someone to the UFC or to MMA, this is the kind of fight where I would be embarrassed to have them
I would
watch.
skip over this fight. I would just be like, no, dude, you don't want to
Well,
watch this.
that's what I'm saying. So, like, if I know enough to where, like, I can kind of curate someone's experience. Like, if I want to, like, introduce them into MMA, I can be like, hey, check out this guy. Look at these highlights. Oh, check this fight out. Watch this with me. And I can kind of get them, the best and, like, the most varied experience of things that I think they would like. Whereas if I invite someone over to be like, hey, we're gonna watch the UFC this weekend, like I don't really know what's gonna happen, so I don't have a choice. And if I had watched this, and I invited people over, like I have in the past, to watch the UFC, and this fight was on, and they were already on the fence, like I would be embarrassed. I'd be so embarrassed that I watched the sport. Because how do I defend that? How would you defend that to your friends?
It looks like they'd pulled a bouncer from a local bar and just told him, "Hey, hop in the ring with Ben Rothwell." No offense to the fact that this dude does have a long career of MMA and kickboxing. Like I hate to say it, but in terms of him being at the level to where he should have been signed to the UFC, like
he's got no cardio. He throws really big looping punches, and he does so he's an explosive dude. The dude's 5'9" and he weighs 250 plus pounds. That's unacceptable.
He had about 2 minutes of fight in him.
That's unacceptable. Yeah. We talked about this last 2 weeks ago. Like, I'm never. Would I be able to beat him in a fight? I mean, honestly, if I could, if I had enough room to run and give a good jog, yeah, because he would just pass out. But realistically speaking, no, right? I'm not going to beat these guys. Anybody who's in the UFC is going to kick my ass. I totally understand that. I got it. That being said, it's just 100% lazy. Cardio's free. You can just go outside and run. Go outside. Like, you don't have to buy any equipment to do cardio.
Well, it's like when you get NFL players that come off an off season and come back to training camp just completely and utterly out of shape. Not like it's seemingly like they didn't prepare at all for the fact that they're supposed to be a professional athlete representing an organization.
Yeah, he's not. He's not a professional athlete.
He didn't seem like he approached this as if he was like, oh, I want to, seem like I'm a UFC fighter. I want to seem like I'm an actual professional MMA fighter.
Like
I want to put that. I want to put that as something on my resume. Like it. He didn't come out like that's what he wants to be.
No, and listen, he might be a great individual. I don't know him as a person, and I'm not. If you want to eat to excess, and you just happen to gain weight, I'm not criticizing you as a person.
I'm willing to bet he is more embarrassed by it than we can possibly.
I hope he is, because if he comes out and if he were to come out and say like, oh man, he didn't let me fight and he just wanted to grab, like, no, I don't care anything you say, unless your first words are, man, that was bad, I suck. Then I don't want to hear what else you have to say. I really don't. And or if you come out and say or something to that effect, like, oh, I underperformed, I apologize, like, man, that was not the best, I need to work harder. That's okay. If you come out, you say that, or maybe it's internally. Maybe you don't need to say that to me. You don't owe me anything.
Yeah.
You're a fighter. You don't owe me anything. I mean, you don't technically speaking, he doesn't owe us a good fight.
I blame the UFC more than I blame him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He got the opportunity to have UFC fight.
Yeah, go for it.
In the condition that he was in, the UFC said, yeah, you can go be a heavyweight. That's the UFC's fault. The UFC does its scouting. It can identify people. It is picking heavyweights to fight in heavyweight, and it's a small pool that you're picking from.
You hear that clicking in the background?
Yeah.
That's me trying to click on his name on Wikipedia.
Oh, it doesn't exist. I had to look up his record on.
He don't have a clicky.
No, I had to look up his record on other MMA sites.
That's not a hot link, guys. That's not good.
So I could see what he was coming from. But that's my point. Well, this is the UFC's fault because they made that the headline fight for the prelims on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, not a good look.
Not
a good look.
If he was just fighting on an early prelim, some random fight at the beginning of a paper, sure. But now we're talking headline of a prelim. Like, you have to do better for the talent that you're selecting and someone that you're trying to raise up to that level, and to put against Ben Rothwell, because
how is he fighting Ben Rothwell?
That's unfair to that dude. It's his first UFC fight, and they throw him against Ben Rothwell.
Yeah, but now imagine, let's flip the tables and say he gets a knockout against Ben Rothwell, who historically is impossible to knock out.
Okay, that's fair, but
now what happens to you? Like, you're gonna tell me like he's not, like, he's gonna make more money, but that dude ain't winning another fight. I'll tell you that much.
Yes.
All right, enough shitting on fat guys. Court McGee beating Claudio Silva.
Good job.
It's one of those things, being an older MMA fan, or being a fan for MMA as long as I have. I know it's not the longest, whatever. I hate qualifying that, but I've seen Court McGee fight for a very long time, and it's always cool to see veterans get a win like that. Smart victory, lots of control. Silva's a crafty guy on the ground, and he still got it done. It was super cool. I love seeing that stuff. And he's still rocking the same beard that he has for the past 15 years, which is also awesome. Actually, here, we'll talk about the next one, but I want to see how long Court McGee's been in the UFC, because I feel like it's been 15 years.
2010 when he got in? Did I just call that? Yeah, I did.
Yep. Yeah, it's not quite 15 years. It's 11 years. Chris
Still
McRae.
decent amount.
Yeah. Dude, look. Oh, man, that's so many losses. Hey, he's getting up there. Anyway, see, we got Bueno Silva fighting Victor Rodriguez. He gets this awesome knockout in the first round. Big right hand. Early stoppage a little bit. Rodriguez was crawling forward. Not a bad. I don't think it was a bad stoppage. I think he was clearly dazed. I think he was clearly damaged. But that being said, when you're swinging punches at the guy on the ground and they're bouncing off his lats, it's not. Those aren't fight-ending punches, and they're not actually doing damage. Like, it's not.
Yeah, he definitely got stunned, but he got dropped kind of into a turtle and then started walking his way up.
Yeah.
And it was once he got to all fours as he was walking his way up when it got stopped. And, yeah, he was definitely stunned, and maybe the ref could see something in his face that you can't really see from the camera angle, but it just seems...
Yeah.
It seemed a little quick. It's not the worst I've seen.
No, I don't think Chris Tione's a bad ref. I think that was a... I think it was a early stoppage, not a bad stoppage.
Yes.
But
he didn't get robbed. Like,
no,
he did get stunned. He did get put on the ground. Like,
yeah, we're not talking Dominic Cruz versus Triple C, or like the guys where what's his face smoking cigarettes. He smelled like cigarettes and booze. Doesn't matter. Joshua Kulabau, lots of decisions. David Dvorak getting a rear naked choke.
Weird thing about that one though.
Oh, Yalan.
Yeah.
They had
I don't know if that's his last name that they just don't list on the UFC, or if they just put
his nickname or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but completely different name on the fight card compared to what's actually on
much
the
longer
UFC
one,
website.
Too.
Like, vastly different.
David Dvorak getting a rear naked choke against Ronda and then Damir Ismagulov getting a decision win, 3 rounds. Anyway, overall, this card,
meh.
Lots of decisions. It's not always the worst thing in the world to have that happen. It's just this one, not really blowing anybody's skirt up. And as far as like future implications, we had a couple early on.
It's like one step removed future implications for the most part.
Oh, that's who she beat. She beat Felicia Spencer.
Yeah. That
is a big deal because Felicia Spencer was the one who went up and fought Amanda Nunes. I remember that.
But yeah, Carla might get a title shot. She might not.
Should.
Rob Font probably won't get a title shot.
Unlikely, but also should.
Yeah. But still, good performances by some folks that are coming
Jack Hermanson puts himself back in the win column and then hopefully works his way back up in the top 5. Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing him. I think he's an interesting matchup for Izzy. I don't think he's I don't know if he beats Izzy, but I think he's an interesting matchup.
Yeah. He's probably got another 2 fights ahead of him before he gets a shot at Izzy,
he's not doing that right now. It's still
maybe
there's
10.
a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a lot going on in that division.
Costa's got to drink some more wine and make up some more excuses, and then maybe we'll get to see him fight soon.
Jack Hermanson Costa. Hey.
That's what I'm saying, but
I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Costa. Till at least has a real excuse where he's injured. He's not saying I got the flu. I can't fight next month. That's like
dude, no one has had the flu this year. What flu are you talking about?
Or when you joke around when someone's like, hey, can you go to this on Friday? You're like, nah, I'm sick that day. That's exactly. That's how I feel when Costa said that stuff. He's like, hey, you have to fight next month. Nah, I'm sick next month. What? He's so stupid. That guy's a joke. Anyway, this has been the first in-person live video thingy, Super Lunch Bros. Really appreciate you guys sticking with us. As long as you have, for everybody who's listened or watched all these, I really appreciate it.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below on our YouTube. Let us know what you liked about it, what you found interesting, any topics that you want us to talk about. We're coming up on the Olympics soon, and we've teased out a couple of episodes previous of some of the things about this upcoming Olympics that are going to be interesting.
We're going to talk about it next week for sure, but there is some interesting stuff with the powerlifting and the New Zealand competitor.
Yeah, we'll take a nice deep dive into that.
Yeah,
plus some other fun sports that are going to be coming about.
Yeah, also we picked up curling recently.
Oh, yes.
No, I'm just kidding. My neighbor curls, and I really want to go with him. I think it's super cool. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. I really do. Thank you so much for listening. Yeah, like he said, make sure you comment if you have something to say. If you really want to get an interaction, have a back and forth, I promise I will respond to you. Yeah. I have responded to every single person who has commented. I will, as I enjoy talking about this stuff. I really do, especially if you question something I've said. Be like, hey,
if you disagree with us
that?
Or have a constructive decision, idea either way about something that we said during a fight that you think was way off, let us know. Yeah, we will address it directly.
All right. Yep, I agree. All right. I think that's all. Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Bye, everybody.